And since the last Polkadot video, not much has happened, but now is the time to prepare, because now is the time that we're edging towards the end of the apex. And this biggest area of traded volume that I keep talking about, that sound like a broken record, that's the area that we need to break in the short term, the $3.95. If we break $3.95, that's going to signal a shift that the bulls have got a higher probability of breaking this to the upside. Upside targets $5, downside targets $3. So there's two ways to prepare: move to the downside, a break to the downside, a retest and a rejection. Then you're going down to $3, or you're highly likely to go at $3. Break to the upside, you've got a high probability of the next resistance point at $5. So how can you prepare for that? How can you understand exactly who's got control? By just looking at the indicators that we talked about in the last video. So we've got two indicators. Firstly is the stochastic RSI. The aim of the game in the short term is for this to come into an overbought position. Overbought, overbought, overbought. What needs to happen to price when this becomes overbought? We need to break through the biggest area of traded volume. We can get rejected at this point, and there's a high probability that we will get rejected at this point. As long as we come back down, hold a higher low, hold the $3.95 as support rather than resistance, then there's a high probability that you're going all the way to $5. So that is what I'm looking for in the short term. The next indication that we're going to look at is going to be the RSI, because I want you to see how the RSI behaves within the biggest area of traded volume. What we're going to do is we're going to stick in the 50% level. Why is that important? When you're above the 50, you're bullish. When you're below the 50, you're bearish. Look at how price reacts within this range. Look at this. So there's the range. There's the biggest area of traded volume. Look, below, above, above, below, above. So you can see exactly how this reacts. This is going to be an indication that when we break the 50 level, that we've got a high probability to have enough momentum to break through $3.95. So the RSI is the second signal that we want to look at. And thirdly, Polkadot, we said, is it undervalued? Is it overvalued? How is it performing on the year against the other bag of cryptocurrencies? Unfortunately, you look at the other bag of cryptocurrencies, you've got some big players here: XRP 443%, Crypto.com 253%. You can see on the year, pretty much everything's green. When you look at Polkadot on the year, 41.97%. One thing that people keep saying in the comments: nobody's buying Polkadot. Now, remember, the higher the time frame, the higher the conviction. This is why I said that this is the biggest bullish divergence within the whole of the crypto space along the biggest time period. So look at this. You're putting in lower lows on the chart. You're putting in lower lows consistently during the bear market, while Bitcoin is putting in higher highs, higher lows. This is putting in lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So you can see on the RSI here, you put in a higher low, 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 you put in a higher low. This is the weekly time frame. The higher the time frame, the higher the conviction. So this is showing, while people are saying in the comments nobody's buying Polkadot, this is telling a different story. People are buying Polkadot. And when you've got a divergence where something's putting in lows on a chart and something's putting in higher lows on the RSI, that indicates at some point there needs to be a shift and the chart needs to catch up. So that's why I'm interested in Polkadot. And we have got these counts here. We've got the two counts. We've got the yellow count and we've got the white count. The white count is a Fibonacci retracement from the bear market lower high all the way to the bear market lower low. So that's the conservative count. And you've got the top of the range here, which is the 38.2% retracement. You can see how price rejected at this level here: 38.2, 38.2. That's sat at $10.80, $10.90. You've got your 618 up here, $15.91, and then you've got your 786 at 19.34. In the short term, guys, we need to focus on this. We need to focus on the biggest area of traded volume. We need to focus on getting to the $5, maintaining a higher low, and then pushing up through the next resistance barriers. And then we can talk about white counts as we start getting closer towards them. So I'm going to do a big video later on. We've got all the requests on the Discord group. Discord group's completely free. Get yourself in there. Link in the description below, and then you'll get access to all of these servers. We've got chart requests, so I'm going to be going over all of these altcoin requests today, and then I'm going to be going over the macro with a pre-market analysis of to what's going to be, what's likely to happen going into next week. So we'll be looking at Bitcoin, we'll be looking at the dominance, we'll be looking at USDT dominance, we'll be looking at the Dixie, we'll be looking at the Russell 2000, we'll be looking at the Total 3, we'll be looking at the others chart collectively as well as the altcoins. So if you do think that that's going to be something that you want to watch, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified exactly when I drop that. Okay, that's about it from me for now. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.